In 1970, changing your oil every 3,000 miles was correct. The engines running then had looser tolerances, cruder filtration systems, and conventional mineral oil that degraded relatively quickly under heat and pressure. The 3,000-mile interval was engineering guidance. It reflected what the oil and the engine actually needed.
That was 55 years ago. The engines in your driveway today are machined to tolerances measured in microns. They run with multi-stage filtration systems. They're filled at the factory with full synthetic oil specifically engineered to maintain its protective properties across extended intervals. Your owner's manual, the document written by the people who built your engine, recommends an oil change interval of 7,500 miles, or 10,000, or 15,000, depending on the car, sometimes more.
The 3,000-mile interval is not in your owner's manual. It's on a sticker on your windshield, placed there by the shop that did your last oil change. Those are two very different sources of information, and the industry built on one of them has a strong financial interest in you never comparing the two.
The quick lube industry in the United States generates roughly $7 billion in annual revenue. Jiffy Lube alone operates more than 2,000 locations. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, Take 5, Firestone, Midas, Pep Boys. The full landscape of fast oil change services represents one of the most consistent revenue streams in automotive retail.
The business model depends on frequency. An oil change every 3,000 miles means 3 or 4 visits per year per customer. An oil change every 10,000 miles means 1 visit, maybe 2. The difference in revenue per customer per year is not marginal. It's the difference between a viable business model and a restructured one. A former regional manager at a major quick lube chain, someone who spent 11 years overseeing multiple locations before leaving the industry, described the internal training around oil change intervals like this. We were never told to lie to customers. We're told to recommend the conservative interval. The conservative interval was always 3,000 miles, regardless of what oil was used or what the car's manual said. The word conservative did a lot of work. Conservative, as though recommending what the manufacturer specifies would be reckless. The oil itself tells the story most clearly. Conventional motor oil, the mineral-based product that was standard through most of the 20th century, degrades through a process called oxidation. Heat breaks down the molecular chains. Contaminants accumulate. The oil's ability to lubricate and protect diminishes over time and mileage. At 3,000 miles, in a 1975 engine running conventional oil in stop-and-go traffic, a change was genuinely warranted. Full synthetic oil is a different product in a meaningful sense. The base stocks are either chemically synthesized from smaller molecules or heavily refined to remove impurities that cause degradation. The additive packages, the chemistry that provides anti-wear protection, detergency, and viscosity stability, are formulated to last longer under higher temperatures and more demanding conditions. The result is an oil that maintains its protective properties well beyond what conventional oil could manage. API and ILSAC certification standards for full synthetic oils today require performance across extended drain intervals. The automakers who specify these oils in their engines and require them to maintain warranty coverage have done the engineering analysis. When Toyota says 10,000 miles between changes for a Camry running 0W20 full synthetic, they're not being generous. They're telling you what the oil and the engine can actually handle. There's a test that proves this more clearly than any argument. The American Automobile Association, AAA, conducted an independent study comparing oil degradation across multiple intervals and oil types. Their findings, which are publicly available, showed that full synthetic oil used in modern engines showed no significant degradation in protective properties at intervals far beyond 3,000 miles. In multiple tested vehicles, the oil at 7,500 miles retained protective characteristics comparable to fresh oil at 3,000 miles in a vehicle running conventional. The California Department of Resources, Recycling, and Recovery ran a campaign specifically targeted at the 3,000-mile myth, not because they had a financial interest in oil change frequency, but because unnecessary oil changes generate waste oil that has to be disposed of. Them materials, developed in consultation with automotive engineers, explicitly state that modern vehicles with full synthetic oil do not require changes at 3,000 miles. The information has been publicly available for more than a decade. The sticker on the windshield has not updated accordingly.
The interval question has a cousin that's equally misunderstood, and it matters for a different reason. Many modern vehicles come equipped with an oil life monitoring system, a dashboard indicator that calculates remaining oil life based on actual driving conditions rather than mileage alone. The system tracks engine temperature, RPM patterns, idle time, short trip frequency, and other variables that affect oil degradation in practice. It's not a simple mileage counter. It's an algorithm developed by engineers who designed the engine and modeled how the oil degrades under real operating conditions.
On a vehicle with an oil life monitor, the correct trigger for an oil change is when the monitor tells you to change the oil, not when the mileage hits a round number, not when the windshield sticker expires. When the system designed by the manufacturer to track this specific measurement tells you it's time.
A driver who ignores the oil life monitor in favor of the 3,000-mile sticker is paying for service the monitor has calculated they don't yet need. On a vehicle that's used primarily for highway driving, which is gentle on oil, the monitor might not reach zero until well past 10,000 miles. That's not a malfunction. That's the system working correctly.
Two things are worth saying clearly because fairness requires it. First, driving conditions genuinely matter. Severe service, defined by most manufacturers as frequent short trips under 5 miles, extreme temperatures, towing, dusty conditions, or extended idling, accelerates oil degradation and warrants more frequent changes. If your driving fits that profile, the owner's manual typically has a severe service interval that's shorter than the standard interval. Check it. Follow it. Second, there is a subset of older vehicles with high mileage, and engines with known oil consumption issues, where more frequent monitoring makes sense. An engine that's burning oil slightly, or one with seals that are aging, benefits from more frequent inspection, even if a full change isn't warranted every time. Checking the dipstick matters more than the calendar in those cases. Neither of these exceptions resurrects the 3,000-mile interval as a universal standard. They're exactly what they sound like, exceptions for specific situations, not the rule that got replaced. Here is the practical version of everything above. Find your owner's manual. If you don't have a physical copy, the manufacturer's website has one as a PDF. Look up the oil change interval for your specific model year under normal driving conditions. Write that number down. Then look at the sticker on your windshield. If the sticker says something significantly shorter than what the manual says, you've been changing your oil more often than your engine requires. You've been paying for a service interval that benefits the shop, not the engine. The shop didn't necessarily lie to you. Conservative is a word that covers a lot of ground. What they didn't do is tell you what the manufacturer specifies, or suggest you might want to compare the two. A mechanic in Wisconsin, who does independent work out of a 2-bay shop his father opened in 1981, the kind of shop where the same families have been bringing their cars for 40 years, said something that stayed with me. I tell every customer to check their manual. I lose a little money on oil changes. I keep customers for 30 years. He changes oil when the car needs it. His stickers match the manufacturer. His waiting room doesn't have a TV because it doesn't need to hold people for very long. The 3,000-mile oil change didn't survive this long because it's correct. It survived because it's simple. A round number is easier to remember than a range that varies by vehicle, oil type, and driving condition. Every 3,000 miles is a sentence. Every 7,500 to 10,000 miles, depending on your vehicle's specifications and your oil life monitor, is a paragraph. The industry that profits from the simple version has had no incentive to make it more complicated. The manufacturer who built your engine has it in their manual, the document sitting in your glove box that most people open once and never return to. Somewhere right now, a car is pulling into a quick lube bay at 4,000 miles. The oil life monitor says 63% remaining. The technician will change the oil, place a new sticker at 7,000 miles, and the driver will leave feeling responsible. The engine doesn't need what just happened to it. The oil that was just drained had thousands of miles of useful life remaining. It will be collected, filtered, and re-refined, or not, and the cycle will repeat in another 3,000 miles. The engine doesn't know the difference. The invoice does.